Emotional.
Give the people what they want.
I know black. I know black. I know black. Imposible. I know black. I'm Dominican. I'm Puerto Rican. I know black. Be looking just like me. Be having the same hair. I be touching you like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same, papi. It's not the same. They try to salsa that shit off. I be like, no, it's not the same. I know black. Negro nunca, nunca. I know no, nunca. I know black. I'm like, no, you black. No, no, no. I know black. Dominican. I go, I know, but you're black. No, 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 papi. I know black.
Guys identify as being nationals first.
Of course.
Correct?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the history of the Dominican Republic, the Dominican Republic culture is no different than America, to the point that African slaves were brought to America and African slaves were brought to Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
Brazil is, in my opinion, more racist than the United States, okay? I've said this 1,000 times. Black people are not in the newspaper. They're not on TV. They're not in the federal government. It's a lot harder for black people to get basic. Go to Brazil and see how many black people you meet that have cars. See how many black people live outside of the ghetto. And that's in the United States too, right? But we still have middle classes. Like where I'm at right now is a middle class area that's majority black. Usually in Brazil, it's not going to be middle class and majority black. It's going to be super low class and majority black. So again, it sounds like you haven't been too many places. I've been a lot of places now, so that's why I know what I'm talking about. Brazil is more racist than the United States, and they have the same police brutality killings, if not worse. In 2020, the state of Rio had more, the state by itself, one state out of all the states in Brazil, had more police brutality killings than the entire United States.
Give the people what they want. Are Dominicans black? Join me this time in the conversation as we break down some of the stereotypes and misunderstanding about why Dominicans call themselves black. Stay tuned. The footage. Dominicans, you have to ask the right question. Some Dominicans, where they don't identify as black, like we should never identify as black. We should be seen as Americans first with African roots. So most Dominicans see themselves as Dominicans. But if you ask, do I have African? Is my abuela African? Is my abuela African? Is my madre or my padre have African? They'll say sí, but you have to ask the right question. And they just don't go off cusp and say that I'm black. Let me ask you a question.
I know black. I know black. I know black. Imposible. I know black. I'm Dominican. I'm Puerto Rican. I know black. Be looking just like me. Be having the same hair. I be touching you like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same, papi. It's not the same. They try to salsa that shit off. I be like, no, it's not the same. I know black. Negro nunca, nunca. I know no, nunca. I know black. I'm like, no, you black. No, no, no. I know black. Dominican. I go, I know, but you're black. No, 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 papi. I know black.
How do I make you guys understand that not all Latinas are light-skinned with curly hair or white with straight hair? Some Latinas, honey, look like moi. Ta-da!
I just took a DNA test, turns out I'm 100%
black. Black, black, black. Yeah. Hey. Okay, black, 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 black on black, black, my face.
Okay, I know this is gonna sound super weird to all the gringos out there, but guess, listen to this. Yes, you can call us mi amor, you can call us bebé, mamacita, but this is overrated. If you are dating a brown-skinned Colombian woman, baby, you can call me mi negrita. It can't get any better than that. You can't call me mi negrita.
All you do is shut down the runway, looking dangerous like a gunplay. They all wanna grab you, on you like a tattoo. Hey, don't you fall like you don't even try to. Nobody can match you. Don't you fall like sexy mind and body. You already got. body. When you do it slowly, you take me for a ride, yeah. I go see you through together, baby. You scatter the streets, your vibe is so divine. Don't you for lying, you don't even try to. Nobody can match you. Don't you for life, sexy mind and body. You already got me now. Ellos no la quieren, 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 quieren. Ellos no la quieren, 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 quieren. Body moving, quieren, 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 quieren. She can do it, quieren, 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 quieren.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life, vilja jag. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid av. Jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Det kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig, aldrig, aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Aldrig, aldrig, aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Varje gång jag bak på dig, jag tänker åh vilket kap jag har gjort. Jag skulle gå tillbaka till tid, göra om allt igen och förstå. Ser det som ett allt, det är dig jag vill wipa. De här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. På det jag lägger all min tid. Jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig, aldrig, aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan. Aldrig, aldrig, aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Jag vet det bara life om igen. Jag vet det bara ta din tid. Jag vet det bara life om igen och stay with me. Jag vet det bara life om igen. Jag vet det bara ta din tid. Jag vet det bara life om igen och stay with me. Du lägger till, du är där för mig. Jag svär mitt liv kretsar runt dig, baby. Du bär på mina bebis så att när jag visionerar vår framtid. Låt mig hålla dig, baby. Hey, yeah. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Aldrig, aldrig, aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna så här för någon annan än dig. Jag vet det.
I got a H in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big gets on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, now I'm stressed. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. Then for my first cake. That we hit on a cake. $500,000 on the way, then $1,000,000 on the way. Eating good for plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, whoa, sounding like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big gas on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big gas on her wrist, TVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big gas on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
Are Dominicans black? Join me this time in the conversation as we break down some of the stereotypes and misunderstanding about why Dominicans call themselves black. Stay tuned.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
I'm a mom of 7, and I'm 30.
Give the people what they want. All right, guys. I hope you guys can hear me. If y'all can hear me, hit 1. If you can hear me, hit 1. I don't know if you can hear me or not. If you can hear me, hit 1, guys. We're about to get into it. Thank you to the 9 that are watching, guys. Share the stream. Shout out to the #1 sponsors, the International Quiet Storm and Salty Balls, followed by Gregory Scott, and I appreciate it. We're going to look or get deep into it in a minute, guys. Thank you for you guys tuning in. And this show has been dear to me. It's been dear to me, guys, for a myriad of reasons. Because a lot of people of the African diaspora suffer from displaced anger, but also suffer from a low self-esteem. And the rules are different when you travel abroad to different parts of the world. As you guys know, I was in the Dominican Republic in Puerto Plata for about 6 weeks, about a week. Had a great time for the most part. I fell in a manhole. And it's a lot of things going on, guys, about culture and the stratification of culture. But the problem is, or the question that presumes on tonight, guys, or today is, are Dominicans black? And I did several shows talking about race, and the answer is yes and no. If you look at it from the American adage, then yes, they are black. But if you look at it from a national perspective, then they are Dominicans first. Some have African roots, some have Indian roots, some have Spanish roots, and some have all three mixed into one. But generational trauma did something severe to the psyche of those from African descent. And the world never saw us as Americans first. We are Americans. We've been fighting for years to get respect from America. There was a song that said, everybody want to sing our blues, but nobody want to live our blues. And it happens many times, guys, to the point it's called racialized generational trauma. Racialized generational trauma. The trauma has been racialized into the psyche, but also the body of so many black people or Americans or Americans of African descent that sometimes we try to push our own worldview to other cultures. When you meet a Nigerian, Nigerians don't say, I'm black. They say, I'm Nigerian. You meet a Jamaican, they don't say, I'm black. They say, I'm Jamaican. You meet an Ethiopian or a Sudanese, they'll say, I'm Sudanese, or they will affirm their tribal identity. But American racism did something to the psyche of those from African descent, to the point that sometimes unintentionally, we don't do it intentionally, we transpose our culture to others. Now, there are some that identify as black or Afro-Dominican, but Dominican is not a race. Dominican is not necessarily a culture. Dominican is a nationality with 3 people, and we're going to get deep into it. But in the meantime, guys, shout out to the 9 that are watching, and shout out to the brothers that have donated. I'm going to send a special shout out to Salty Balls for the 19. Shout out to Salty Balls. I appreciate it, brother. Shout out to Salty Balls for the 19. Thank you for that, brother. Always showing love.
That's a deal, right?
A fellow professional, educated brother like myself. Number love for that, brother. We're going to get deep into it, guys. Shout out to Gregory Scholar, always showing love. He said, salute, Kosher. How long were you in the Dominican Republic? I hope that you got the email that I sent you today. I'll check on the Gregory. I was there for about 7 days, man. About 7 days. About 7 days, Gregory. Shout out to Gregory for the 11. Thank you, brother. And then also shout out to the International Quiet Storm showing love. Nothing said, but showing love. And the International Quiet Storm is the #1 sponsor of the stream, followed by Salty Balls. Thank you.
It's the money.
And I had an opportunity. I reached out to my dear friend. She actually reached out to me. The hostess at her beautiful domicile, Marina, real cool. And I had the pleasure of meeting this brother. He was a Dominican. And guys, we're gonna get deep into it for why some identify as Dominican and some don't. While some say I'm Dominican, but I have African roots. While some don't affirm their African roots at all. And while some don't. Some say I'm Dominican, but you got to ask them what their roots are. Some don't claim their African roots, and some do claim or say I'm Afro-Latino. But it just depends on who you ask. It varies from part to province, and we're going to get deep into it. But we were socialized just like they were socialized. Americans and the blacks in America were socialized with the one-drop rule. The one-drop rule was more or less impacted in the minds of black people. It's called inverse racism. The one rule said that one drop made you black. You could be about 90% white, but if you had one drop, you were black. In their country, it was based on the caste system. And we're going to get into it. I think we talked about it in the past, but we're going to get into it. But hold tight. I want to show you guys something once again because I got to give the people what they want. Hold tight.
Emotional.
Give the people what they want. And guys, that's why you had people like James Brown back in the 60s say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, because people of the African diaspora were never seen as having any sense of racialized pride. So let me show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. And we're going to break this thing down. Hold tight. Okay, where's this thing at? But I'm going to show you guys something. It's going to make sense how we were socialized in America. And to the point, guys, it's impacted us in a negative way. It's impacted a lot of people in a negative way. So let's look at this real quick. All right, hold tight. So this is called amalgamation. Amalgamation is a fancy way of saying blending or mixing. The American amalgamation was totally different than the Spanish amalgamation or mixing. There is no such thing as race, because race is a social construct that was promulgated by eugenics. There's no such thing as race. So when you hear people say what race you are, that's false. They should say what nationality or ethnicity are you from. When you look at the genome of any human being, there's not enough diversity to say that one species of human came from another species of human. All human beings are descendants of Africa. Every human being, or the original man, was a brown man, or he was what some would call a black man. Because Adam and Eve probably looked like Ethiopians or Somalians. And they had the ability to replicate many colors. They were called heterozygous dominant, meaning they had a dominant allele and they had a recessive allele. In that dominant and recessive allele, you can make a black, a dark skin, you can make a white, you can make a red, you can make a yellow, and you can make a pink. All human beings came from Africans, or the people of the earth. That's why they're called hue. Hue means color. They were called humans. All humans come from people of color or people of the earth. So Adam was an earth man. He came from hue. He came from the earth. He came from the color. And Adam was reddish brown. So you can have more diversity from Adam. But see, watch this. A white person can't make a black person. But a brown or a red person or a reddish brown person can make all people. A white person, unless they got African roots, can't make a black person. But a person from the continent can make brown or red or dark black. It can make all. And so the American amalgamation was predicated on names like Jones, because we came from the British. Names like Smith, names like Bond, names like Jackson, names like Mackenzie, names like Thomas. Americans have a surname that's associated with the broader European countries, mostly British, but also Irish, like McCaskey or McConnell or McDonald. Those are British or more or less Irish surnames. But names like Bond, Jones, Davis, Smith, those are American surnames. And they were part of what's called a tri-ethnic amalgamation. What they did, guys, they took the indigenous Indians, because you have a greater diversity with the indigenous Indians, because see, in the Caribbean countries, it was only the Caribbean Indians and the Tainos. But with these particular people, guys, it was the diversity of the American Indians. And some say these American Indians were already here, and they were black Indians. They were black Indians. They were part of the slave trade that mixed with the native Indians that were here. There were dark Indians that some say were already here before the slaves came here. Then there are some that say when Indians mixed in with blacks, they were called black Indians or called Zambos in Spanish culture. But when black folks mixed in with the white slave masters, they were called mulattoes. But the one drop rule was inverse racism. One drop made you black. But in other cultures, the more white you had in you, the more status you had. So it was sort of inverse. But British enslavement, inverse racism, one drop made you black. Inverse meaning it's different than Latin caste systems and Latin racism and colorism. Led to colorism, which meant the darker you are, the worse that you were. That's why you had the house Negro and you had the field Negro. I would have probably been a house Negro, a field Negro or a slave catcher based on my dark skin. Because my bloodline is mostly Nigerian. My bloodline is mostly West African. I'm 5% British, and my surname is British. I have a British surname. That led to colorism, self-hatred, and classism. Some of you are familiar with something called the bourgeoisie or the boule. Some call it the blue vein test. And the boules were more like the uppity Negroes, like W.E.B. Du Bois. They were the ones that were designated to speak for black people. Now, W.E.B. Du Bois came from mixed heritage, just like, Thurgood Marshall. But Thurgood Marshall and W. Du Bois, if they were in Latin countries, would have been seen probably as mulattoes or mestizos. Boule class and tri-racial or tri-ethnic people, mulattoes, were hated and praised. The mulattoes, which were a byproduct of African blood and white blood, many times were venerated by white people But also they were sometimes hated by white people because they weren't white enough. Remember, one drop made them white, but they had classism because they had a greater class than the darker skinned black people. But because the darker skinned blacks internalized their hatred, they gave some of the lighter skinned blacks hell. Some of them, not all. And that's where colorism has come from, texturism and featureism. Because many still internalize generations of transgenerational trauma, and it's still embedded in the psyche of many today. The South created black Indians as some slaves mixed with native Indians because of similarities. The black Indians were a subgroup of Africans that mixed in with the native Indians, especially in Seminole, Florida, and in some parts in Louisiana. And they were called black Indians. They would have been called Zambos in Latin culture. They would be called Zambos. And when you go to Louisiana, there were a lot of black Creoles. You go to South Carolina, and some parts of North Carolina. There are parts in northeastern North Carolina called Hertford County. It's called Ahoskie. And they are descendants of what's called black Indians. They're called the Meherrin Indians. And if you look at them, they look just like, light-skinned black people. In North Carolina, you got the Lumbee Indians. You got the Tuscarora Indians. You got the Catawba Indians. See, there was a greater diversity of Indians here in the Americas than it was back in the Caribbean. You got the Carib Indians and the Taínos Indians. And that's why when you look at a lot of times black folks, when they travel abroad, they can pass. There were black people that were considered black, and they had a lot of white blood. They could pass for white. And so many times they were very light-skinned mulattoes. They could pass. And hold tight, let me show you guys something because it's gonna make a lot of sense. And then the Creoles of Louisiana and also the indigenous Indians. Remember, the indigenous Indians and those of African descent were always seen as less than. They were seen as less than. And once again, a lot of times that racism is still internalized today. That's called American amalgamation. Now here goes, guys. Now, the Spanish amalgamation of mixing was predicated on American racism, once again, was the one-drop rule. But in Latin or Spanish colonies, the more white you had, you were more privileged. The more privilege you had, they were more of a caste system called mestizos, mulattoes, Zambos, indigenous Indians, and indigenous Africans. The African was always seen as less than. But see, here's the problem, guys. There is no culture without the African culture. If you took the African bloodline, if you took the African influence out of Dominican Republic, take it from Brazil, take it from any part in the Latin Americas, it's damn as dry as raisin salad. Because the drum speaks loudly in Brazil, the drum speaks loudly in Puerto Rico, the drum speaks loudly in also Dominican Republic. The culture of Latin countries with Spanish influence is greatly influenced by those of African descent, mostly from Angola and Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Senegal, Benin, and Togo. So blacks were predicated on economic racism and eugenics. We were seen as 3/5 human, while those from countries that don't identify as black class was more or less predicated on class stratification, colorism, texturism, and the myth of race. Remember, I call it a myth because there is no such thing as race. Race is a socio-political construct. It's a socio-political construct. And that's why so many people struggle with their identity, because they think by default that they are inferior, and they're not inferior. But Austin said something, he's right. Racism is alive and well, or colorism or ethnic disrespect is alive and well in Latin America. Watch this.
I know black. Imposible. I know black. I ain't Dominican. I ain't Puerto Rican. I ain't no black. Be looking just like me. Be having the same hair. I be touching you like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same, papi. It's not the same. They try to salsa that shit off. I be like, no, it's not the same. I know black. Negro nunca, nunca. I know no, nunca. I know black. I'm like, no, you black. No, no, no. I know black. Dominican. I go, I know, but you're black. No, 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 papi. I know black.
Guys identify as being nationals first, correct?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the history of the Dominican Republic culture is no different than America, to the point that African slaves were brought to America and African slaves were brought to Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
Brazil is, in my opinion, more racist than the United States, okay? I've said this 1,000 times. Black people are not in the newspaper. They're not on TV. They're not in the federal government. It's a lot harder for black people to get basic. Go to Brazil and see how many black people you meet that have cars. See how many black people live outside of the ghetto. And that's in the United States too, right? But we still have middle classes. Like where I'm at right now is a middle class area that's majority black. Usually in Brazil, it's not going to be middle class and majority black. It's going to be super low class and majority black. So again, it sounds like you haven't been too many places. I've been a lot of places now, so that's why I know what I'm talking about. Brazil is more racist than the United States, and they have the same police brutality killings, if not worse. In 2020, the state of Rio had more, the state by itself, one state out of all the states in Brazil, had more police brutality killings than the entire United States.
So I'm going to show you something, guys. We talked about this before in the past, but let's look at this real quick, and then we're going to get deep into the show. But in the meantime, guys, it's time for people to understand that there is nothing inferior about dark skin. Theologians, the white ones, came up with a concept called the curse of Ham. The word Ham comes from the word Kim, which means hot. But when you think about the melanin, the rich melanin in black skin, it protects us from the sun, but we're able to absorb the sun at the same time. I count it an honor to be dark skinned. I love who I am. I love being a darker skinned black man. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world, because I understand that perhaps Christ himself, when we see him face to face, he might be a black man that look just like me. And so I don't begrudge those that look their nose down on people from the African diaspora. We are a resilient people from all the countries in West Africa. We are resilient, and there is no power without the African. There is no South without the African. There is no music or culture without the African. While human beings add something to the greater spectrum, we are a resilient people, but not only a resilient people, we are very creative. So once again, guys, I love being a dark-skinned black man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. Hold tight.
Emotional.
Give the people what they want. All right, guys, this is the Dominican caste system. This is what we talked about a minute ago. It's totally different than the American amalgamation or mixing. So the Dominican caste system, guys, look like I told you guys before in the past. You had the Spaniards, which was white. That's why when people say I'm Spanish, you should never be proud to be a Spaniard, because it means you were conquered. So why would you be proud to say I'm Hispanic? It's not proud. You shouldn't be proud to be Spanish, because the Spanish conquistadors, they conquered you. They enslaved and also mixed in with the native Indians and also the Africans they brought on the slave ship. So it's nothing special about being no damn Hispanic. You should never be happy to be a Hispanic, because it means they conquered you, especially the Spanish conquistadors. You had what was called the Corolos. They were offsprings of Spanish born in the Americas. Then you had the mestizos. The white men took the Indian women and they mixed in with them. They were called mestizos. That's why when you see a lot of Mexicans, they look Indian, Aztec, Incan, and Mayan, but they also have Spaniard ancestry. Then you had mulattoes. They were people of mixed European and African descent. So you guys see the caste system. The mulattoes and the mestizos are in the middle. But then as you start going down, you got what's called Zambos. They're called Zambos. They're people of Indian and African blood. That's why when you look at a lot of the people in Latin America, they look like some of the Creoles of Louisiana, but also they look like some of the Indians in South Carolina and somewhere in North Carolina as well. Then you get what's called the indigenous people. There were Tainos and the Carib Indians, and then you had the black slaves. And so they were taught to hate themselves. They were taught to hate their features. What Dominican Republic did, guys, they totally eradicated their African features, or whitewashed the Dominican Republic. Because at one time, DR was mostly Haitian. But they whitewashed a lot of the Dominican Republic. They whitewashed a lot of they whitewashed a lot of the Dominican Republic, guys. And to the point now, guys, it's been problematic for a lot. They whitewashed a lot of the Dominican Republic. And they tried to erase the African features. But it ain't nothing like Africans. American black men are venerated mostly for their sexual prowess, but also for their sexiness. White men are venerated for mostly their money and their status. But if you're an American black man traveling abroad, you get a lot of props if you got some level of decorum about yourself and know how to carry yourself as a man. But when you look at them, Latin people are no different than you. They look just like you. And once again, guys, I'm going to show you guys the whole shebang in a minute. So hold tight.
How long?
All right, so let me show you guys the breakdown from this brother that I had. It was a good show. Him and I, we chopped it up. And head back. So once again, guys, I had the opportunity to break it, chop it up with this brother named Edwin, good guy. And he will be my special guy when I go back to Dominican Republic. Edwin was real cool. And while some said me no black, some say me as black. And this brother didn't mind claiming his African roots. And I'm going to show you guys. So I want to get a difference of opinion. All Dominicans don't think the same, like all African Americans don't think the same. But hold tight. Tar Heel State, as you guys know, is the greatest state in the Union. Guys, this is part 2 of the story that we were talking about. Are Dominicans black? And as I conveyed to you guys, that Dominicans are not black, but they are black. It just depends on how you ask the question. So I got my driver, Edwin. You know, Edwin, make sure you keep your eye on the road, man. I just want you to enjoy yourself. Good brother, man. Guys, when to the gringos, when you come to America, to Dominican, shout out to once again my man Edwin, guys. If y'all ever go to the Dominican Republic, I'll give him some business. Reach out to me. I'll give the brother some business, man. He's a good guy, man. Good guy. Edwin's good people. Good brother. Nothing but respect for him. And see, guys, there are people like Fat Joe that's Afro-Dominican. I mean, Afro-Puerto Rican. Fat Joe know about his African roots because the slave ship didn't stop only in America. It traveled all across Latin America and also Latin America, but also the Caribbeans. Guys, share this stream too and support the channel. Yes, ma'am. I agree with you, sis. I love my dark skin too, Ambang Awa. I agree with you 100%. Gregory Scotland said, black men have accepted the skin color and history much better than, but yeah, I agree with that. You're right, Gregory. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. Kosher, we are trying to get away from the hair straightening and the mentality that it came with. This is why we blacks, at the time say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Yeah, they did say it, Gregory. And once again, Gregory, there's still a lot of emotional damage. Give the people what they want. And guys, I gotta give the people what they want, but also, guys, it's time for people to start loving themselves and say it loud. I'm from Africa. My bloodline is from the continent, and I'm proud of it. You should never hate yourself based on the color of skin, because we are the original humans. We are the original humans, and everybody else came out of the mother. So you should never hate yourself. Now, there are European anthropologists and archaeologists that will try to destroy artifacts to minimize the African essence. But when God made the original man, God made the original man in his image. And I believe that the original man was a colored man. I believe he looked just like Ethiopians. And I believe that's why black people or those from the continent are hated so much, because Lucifer knows that Adam was a black man. That's why we're hated so much. We're the most spiritual people. We tend also to be more into the dark arts. So the original man was a black man. He was a hue man. He was hue. The word human comes from hue. They were human. During the Tower of Babel, all human beings at one time were one, because they came from one blood. But when God dispersed the languages, they began to race. That's why you get the word race. That's where you get the word race. There is no such thing as race, but there is a such thing as humankind. They began to race to and fro, and they started speaking different languages. The Japanese were speaking a different language, so they were part of the Japanese race because they were racing to the east. The Africans raced to the west. The Europeans raced to the north, and the Indians raced to the south along with the Africans. But there's no such thing as race because it's a socio-political construct. But there is such thing called national origin, tribal affiliation, or ethnicities. But once again, guys, let's break it down. Hold tight. Contact with me. I will have you guys to get in contact with Edwin, give this brother some business. He's a good guy. You know, he look out for the brothers. You know, he got some, he's an Afro-Dominican. He represent the culture. He know about the culture. Very smart. So Edwin, you know, we had the conversation about our Dominicans, black, and we had the conversation. So let's talk about Dominican culture. First, Dominicans are nationals first, right? Yeah. And so you guys identify as being nationals first. Of course. Correct? Yeah. But when it comes down to the history of the Dominican Republic, the Dominican Republic culture is no different than America, to the point that African slaves were brought to America and African slaves were brought to Dominican Republic. Yeah, that's true. So in America, we have it backwards because we say black. But for a long time, Edwin, black folks were seen as 3/5 human. They never considered us to be Americans, even though we built the country, even though we fought in wars, even though our ancestors died and fought. But here in Dominican Republic, why is it, Edwin, that some Dominicans identify as just Dominican? Why do some Dominicans say I'm Afro-Latina? Why do some Dominicans don't claim their African roots? Why is that?
Man, the thing is, we are a Dominican, right? First Dominican. Right. But we are Indian, you know, and when the Hispaniolas, they come to Dominican Republic, right? They come with the big ships with too much slave, but the slave is African. So we are Dominican by Afro too, you know.
Did you really say we are Dominican and Afro too, by Afro too? He is saying we're Dominicans by African too. Indigenous Indians that were already there, the Spaniards that brought the slaves here because they were killing off the Indians with disease, and they mixed in. The African was the most resilient because the Africans were able to withstand the chicken pox by the Spaniards, but it was killing the Indians. It was killing them. So once again, this brother affirmed his African roots. Some do and some don't.
That's normally. We have bachata, merengue, everything of this. It's like.
This is what he said. There is no Dominican Republic without there is no Dominican Republic without the African. The frying of food. The frying of food. The music. All of that's African. The salsa, merengue, salsa, bachata, all that's African. So African culture has influenced a lot of Latin culture. There is no Dominica or any other part without or there is no influence without African culture, guys. The drum is alive and well in Africa.
Black people, you know?
Right.
That's normal. Man.
Right.
You have everything. You have so many females. They are skinny, right? Fat ass, and this is for the black people.
The black,
you know, it's African.
African, see.
We are African. With it's normal right here.
Right. And that's
See that donkey. That donkey came from Africa. That's West African. When you see Latin women with that donkey, it's called booty. The British, when they were in America, associated the curvaceous nature of the black woman as booty. That's where the word booty came from, because it meant treasure. So there was a booty that meant literally money, but also when they saw the black woman and they saw her curvaceous nature, they called it booty. They called it booty, guys. They saw that donkey, and they called it booty. And you know, they called it booty because it was unique. They called it booty because it was beautiful. They called it booty because it was hypnotizing. They call it booty because nobody else had it. And when you when you mix it in with Indian, and you get a little bit of Indian, cinnamon Indian, and them and mixed in with African, you got an exotic woman. Hold tight.
I'm not doing that.
Baby, you my only number one gotti. Even in my down times, I can't get you out of my mind, sorry. Hey, I done run 1,000 days just to find you in my way. Nothing like you in this world. Promise never let it go. Baby, want.
And so, guys, when you see that, that resilient skin, when you see that chocolate skin, when you see that booty, because when the British, the white Brits, saw and went to Africa to colonialize Nigeria and Ghana, they saw booty and they were mesmerized by it. So once again, Latin country is nothing without the black African. We gave them the music, we gave them booty, we gave them spirit, we gave them all. It's nothing. The bachata, merengue, black, I came from Africa, I came from the drums of Africa. No one can deny it. So you should never feel shame to be black. But once again, guys, emotional damage has besmirched a lot of people. And hear what I'm saying, guys. There are some of European descent that respect those from the African diaspora. Some actually embrace it. There are some European women that love the swag and the energy of a black man. There are some white men that are cool and chop it up with black men. But I wouldn't trade being a black man for nothing in this world. Because once again, I know we are the original humans. We were the original earth people. We came out of the earth like Adam. Adam came out of the earth. He was the first human. And so you should never have emotional damage because of this.
Give the people what they want.
Say it loud.
America should have called Americans of African descent or Africans from the Africans from the diaspora. Yeah. We should be seen as Americans first. Like Dominicans are proud nationals. Yeah. They think their country first. But America never saw black folks as American first. Yeah. They saw us as slaves. They saw us as property. Yeah. They saw us as black. And you can't measure black. Let me ask you a question, Edwin. You know, you talk about the Haitians or what's going on in Haiti. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of respect for the Haitian people and the Haitian culture. They're very strong people. Yeah. From the history, Edwin, from what I heard that Haiti at one point, all Dominican.
Now, remember, guys, at one point, guys, Haiti was mostly, or had the whole island of Hispaniola. But DR was whitewashed. And now there's a chasm between the Haitians and the Dominicans. The Haitians actually helped liberate Dominicans. But now you got the French Haitians and you got the Spanish Dominicans.
Was Haiti at one point, and Dominicans actually helped Haiti the Dominicans defeat the Spaniards. What do you know about the Haitian culture, the Haitian Revolution, and how they helped Dominica defeat Spain?
Listen, about the history, I don't know too much about that. Mm-hmm. So that we defeat the Spanish,
right?
But the only thing I know is that Haiti, is you have good person in Haiti,
right?
And
right.
bad person too, and right here too. So we are. Man, we are, I don't know, we've been together for the long time.
Right,
Haitians and Dominicans.
Right.
So many Dominicans, they hate Haiti. And I don't like that.
But do they hate them because of their skin color, or they hate them for why? Why do they hate
I don't
Haitians?
think it's for the skin.
See.
The thing is, in the history, one time the Haitians, they live right here in Dominican Republic. And the people say, the old people say, they say, they are bad people with the Dominicans, and I'm saying why?
Right.
But and later we fight it with the Haitians,
right?
And they go to his side, and the Dominican take this side, But man, this is a long time.
What do you say to the critics, Edwin, that said that they tried to whitewash Dominican Republic, meaning there were black statues in Dominica? The Blancos came and tore down statues, and they tried to whitewash the history of Dominica, meaning Dominica at one point had more African history. Yeah. But the white people came and changed the history and put white concepts into the history books instead of more or less respecting the black Dominicans that actually helped rescue Dominica from the French and also from the Spanish. What would you say about that?
Well, man, the thing is, and when the African people is right here, mm-hmm. they know too much because before we are, indigenous,
right?
Indios,
Taínos.
They don't. The Indios don't know. They don't know fight. And the African, they know everything. They see it and they learn.
Right.
So they help us.
Right.
That's what I'm saying about that.
Right.
Because I don't say too much because I don't know too much about that.
No, you don't. I respect that. Right.
It's too
complex.
Time, bro.
Right.
But man, I think the black people, and I don't say the black people, that person before he's gonna be a slave,
Right.
But, man.
Is there racism in Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
Is there racism, meaning do they treat the darker Dominicans?
I think a little Dominicans. I don't too much Dominican because you can see politics. They are black people.
Right.
everywhere you can see a president.
Right.
Yeah, that's normal, right? But Dominican is not white people.
Right.
Hell no. It's
Right.
black people.
Right.
You know, you can see a white Dominicans because they going with Hispaniola, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but the Dominican people is black people.
Well, guys, I want y'all to know about the. Shout out to my man, the International Quiet Storm, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for enjoying intelligent content. I try to do the intelligent content, but you know, you don't get a lot of views doing intelligent content. Folks like goofy stuff. But I appreciate it, International Quiet Storm. He said that, Brother Kosher, this is a great breakdown of history. I had to drop more support. Hold tight. I had to drop more support before I head to work. Support Black Male Media. I appreciate the International Quiet Storm. And the International Quiet Storm, followed by Gregory Scotland, is the #1 sponsor. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Wait, Elwin does consider himself a brother. You know, he's a brother, so he considers himself Afro-Dominican, right? Afro-Dominican. Yeah. See, so how much is your madre more? Is your madre more Negro, or is your padre more Negro?
My mom.
Yeah.
My mom is I'm saying like 100% Dominican, and my father is like more black. Yeah.
So Elvin said his mother is Dominican, is more Dominican. But once again, Dominican is, and I understand what he was saying, but Dominican is not a race. It's not a race. Dominica is not a race. It's just a nationality. It's tri-ethnic. But I understand what he's saying, but he's saying that his mama probably is more mestizo, meaning she's a white Indian, and his dad is probably more indigenous African, or his dad probably is a Zambo. But his dad is probably more black, and his mom is either a mestizo, or she could be mulatto. Because you look at him, he looks like a light-skinned black guy. Right, so your dad have more African blood.
Yeah, man.
But your mom have more Indian?
More Indian,
more
yeah,
Indian,
Indian.
Or a Spaniard?
Yeah, no, Indian.
My
mom is not.
So he said Indian. So like I said, she's probably more Indian, or more or less what you call Zambo, or she's mestizo. But dad is mostly African. That's no different than here in America. There are many black people in America that have Indian ancestry and white. Where I'm from, where my bloodline is from, they were tri-ethnic people. They were Africans. My homeland, the Indians were already there in eastern North Carolina. They're tri-ethnic people.
White.
So more cinnamon.
Yeah.
So you'll be called a mestizo.
Yeah, like mestizo.
Mestizo. See, more
brown.
Brown. See.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you a question about the women, to the single men that are coming. Guys, I want you guys to check out Edwin's Taxi. If you guys want to come to the Dominican Republic, I'm going to give you his number. He's a good brother. We had a good conversation last night. He works with a lot of American brothers. He's a genuine guy. It's hard to find genuine people, but Edwin is very genuine, good brother, good energy. I got nothing but love and respect for him. Every time I come back, I'm going to get him to do my taxi. I told him I'm going to get him some business because, you know, he's a tourist guy, so them tourists like to get it in. They like to make that money, man. And so he's a hard-working guy, very movie trouble heart. But let me ask, you know, there are men, Edwin, looking for wives from Dominican Republic. What do American gringos, American black men or whatever, white but mostly brothers, American negros, what do they need to know about the psychology behind a Dominican woman? Are they faithful? Are they loyal? Do they want gringos only for money, or is it love? What would you say?
Depend, man. Because
depends. See.
Yeah, depend about the girl.
Right.
You know, if you got, you know, it's like what I said before. You can find.
Now he's right. It depends on the girl. To you single men that are looking for wives, there are some women that want you for you. Some Dominican women that fall in love with you for you. But if you're a simp in America, you'll be a simp abroad because women can see through weakness. I don't care where you're from. Some women that try to play you in those countries, but there are some that really and genuinely like you. To you single men that are looking for wives, don't go to the tourist areas. Go to the countryside. You got a greater chance of finding a genuine wife, and that's traditional and would treat you like a king.
So many people, you know.
Right.
Bad girls, good girls.
Right.
And the thing is, the good girls, they go in with you to the supermarket and
Right.
they save you money.
Right.
And you see that, you say, damn, I like that.
Right.
But they not always, but you have a girl right here, they going like, they go the money for the window, you know,
Right.
because you are American people, and they think you are rich.
Right.
And this happened with so many people, bro. So many people that shit happened because they think sometimes the gringo is stupid, but no. Yeah, because
the gringos stupid.
Yeah, they think some of you gringos are stupid. So let me tell you something. Dominicans, and I spoke to a lot of Dominican men, they got a hustle game. Their hustle game is on point. They'll be talking to you and 10 more other men. And you'll think they're in love with you, but they're hustling like 10 different people. Dominicans are hustlers, man. They're about their paper. So you got to properly vet the woman if you're trying to get a wife. But I think you can find a good woman in DR. You gotta vet them properly. And so many simps that went to DR and messed up the ecosystem.
yeah, but no, man, because you know too much. You smart.
Right.
You live in the growth city.
Right.
You know, in the big city.
Right.
Right here, too small.
Too small. See.
Yeah, bro.
See.
So
See.
sometimes and he working bad because when you working smart, you can call me back again.
Right.
That's what I'm talking to you last night.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna give you a nice price. You can call me again.
Right.
But sometimes I got fast money. It's bad because you don't call me more.
Right.
Saying,
Let me ask you a question, Edwin. If women,
it's the same thing with a woman.
See. If a woman get in a man's face in Dominican Republic, disrespects him, what happens to women that are masculine in Dominican Republic, masculino? What happens to masculine women if they get in a man's face? What can happen?
The woman, when they want to look like masculino?
See.
Oh, the thing is, they are, oh my God, I don't know the name. I think they live with another woman. They try to be, how can I say gay, right? Like gay and woman and woman.
Right. But I'm asking about like machismo, like Dominicans, machismo.
Yeah,
so
that's normal right here.
It's normal, right?
Yeah,
so the women don't disrespect their men.
No, it's
So women don't get in that man's face in DR. They don't disrespect their men in the Dominican Republic because it's a severe penalty. But see, America has made men soft, it's made men simps. You can get a superior woman from the Dominican Republic. They steal women, but if you go to the countryside, you can get you a good woman. You might can find a decent one from the city too if you're single.
like a cultura, you know.
What's a cultura?
We are men, right?
Right.
So we have the machismo.
Machismo,
you know?
right.
I can clean, I can cook, but the women, they have to do everything with that, you know? Yeah.
so the women,
you grow with that.
Right.
Not all the family, because so many families, they show you how you can cook, how you can clean.
Right.
Say the woman is not a slave.
Right.
You know, it's some.
And so urban guys is more from the new school. The older school Dominicans are different. But see, the West has influenced Dominican Republic too. Eben is a good brother, but they said not a slave, but it don't make you a slave serving your man. But remember, Cardi B is from Dominican Republic. She said, I don't cook, I don't clean. She's Dominican.
It's somebody you have to protect.
Right.
Yeah.
So your logic is if she cook and clean, you're gonna work and take care of her.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But in America, when they want women that cook and clean, they say they're slaves. I'm like, well, how are you a slave if your husband work?
Yeah.
If your husband provide, if your husband protect.
Yeah.
In Dominica, you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Women work outside the house, right?
Yeah.
They work, but they also cook and clean.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? That's just part of the culture. Yeah. So you're telling me they work at a job, but they also come home and cook.
When you marry, sometimes the woman he work, and the man too.
The man too, right?
Yeah, so it's half and a half, you know.
Right.
The man can cook, can clean. That's supposed to be, but it's not always like that. Sometimes right here, the woman they going more hard because they have to work, get money.
Hold on. She said, I forgot something. Give me 1 minute. So we're going to stop it right here. Hold tight.
My DNA results as a Dominican. 37.8 Spanish. 15.3 Taino. 38.8 African.
Trujillo era, he was outlawing everything African. We have him to thank for.
So guys, at that point I had to go back and turn around because I had forgot something. I had to go back and I forgot my keys.
Or, you know.
But guys, y'all just saw a snapshot of what the brother was saying. Y'all saw a snapshot of what he was saying, but hold tight.
Removing all teachings about Africa and African heritage. He ordered those things to be removed from school curriculums because that is not what he wanted our nation to be known as, you know. So that was a very deliberate thing. It's just now that you start to see more people learning more about it. Like right off the bat, you know, you have a lot of students, and I'm not sure exactly when it started to really come back into the schools, but definitely for students who, you know, even were already got to make it to junior high or, you know, to high school. They were being educated on the fact that, you know, yes, you know, our racial makeup is, you know, European and indigenous, you know, and African.
You don't know much about Dominicans. I think you should do your homework before you talk about Dominicans. I see in a video that you talk about we deporting people because they're black, and Mexico's deporting a lot of Haitians. So it's not about race. You don't know our history. You don't know our genetics, because we're Dominican. We are a special race. We have Taino on our blood. We have European on our blood when they came on 1492. You should know that before you talk about our race. You were talking about this girl that she says she's not black, and she was right. She's not black. She's Dominican. If you ask me who I am gonna tell you I'm Dominican. If you ask me, are you white? I'm gonna tell you no, I'm not. Even though I am white.
First thing you said is, we Dominicans, we're a special race. Dominican is not a race. Dominican is a nationality. You said Dominicans are a special race because we're mixed with different races. I got newsflash for you. Every people in the Americas is mixed with all of these three races.
As a Dominican. 37.8 Spanish.
All of us. So there's nothing special about you or Dominicans at all.
And he's right. We all are mixed with the three different ethnic groups. We all have three different ethnic groups. He's correct. I agree with him 100%.
You are just a product of colonization as well as ethnic cleansing like the rest of us, sir. Okay? That was a mistake right there. No such thing as Dominicans as a special race. What makes you special? That you mix with all these races? We all are. And the reasons for being mixed with all these races, it's not a good reason. It's nothing to romanticize. It's nothing to say, oh my God, you are a product of grape, is what you are. Now, addressing the video about the young lady who's Dominican who said, I'm not African descent, I'm Hispanic. I speak Spanish. She is phenotypically African descent, black. You cannot tell the difference between her and a black American. The only time you'll even tell the difference is when she opens her mouth and speaks Spanish. Is he black?
Right. You can tell the difference phenotypically. And the reason why you can't tell the difference phenotypically, guys, because it goes back to what I said here. You can't tell the difference phenotypically because they're tri-ethnic people, American amalgamation. The broader Indians from the Americas, the West African slaves, and the British, the Irish, and the Scottish. Remember, the Americans had more diversity in their bloodline, but the Latin people had mostly Portuguese and Spaniard. That's why you can have black folks like Jose Vargas, which is a Spanish name, but Jose Vargas was just as black as me. The Latin people have names like Fernando, Hernandez, Gonzalez, Morales. Those are all Spanish surnames. The surnames in the Americas are Bond, Smith, Thomas, Jones, Jackson. Those are British surnames mostly. They got Spanish surnames. We got American. We got British, Scottish, McConnell, and white surnames. But as you can tell, the European influence destroyed the image of a lot. Now remember, guys, the Europeans were the last one to dominate, but prior, the greater African tribes or the greater African nations like the Egyptians, they conquered nations for years. Americans, blacks in America were the last one to get enslaved. But prior to that, some of the African nations enslaved some of the European nations. So black people have not always been slaves. People will tell what make you think they have, but they haven't. Mali, Ghana, Songhai, Egypt, those are all African countries. And they have greatness out of those countries. So once again, guys, this is the American amalgamation, mostly British, and this is the Spanish amalgamation, West African, Taínos or Caribbean Indians, or more or less Spaniard. That's why you really can't tell the difference. There are some Americans that they go to Latin America, some would think that they're Latin because they have the admixtures are similar. Indian white, Indian, European, and African.
By his color, I would say he's black.
Are there people that look just like him that are Dominican?
Yes, a bunch.
Okay, cool. When the word black is being used, it means African descent. So now black people hear Dominicans say, I'm not black, I speak Spanish. What the hell does the language that you speak have to do with...
But hold on. I explained to you that we are mixed. Like you're trying to say they all come from Africa. Even if his color is black, he could feel European.
Right, he's right. The language has nothing to do with it. I speak English, but it doesn't minimize my Africanness. There are Africans that speak British language. There are blacks from the UK, Africans from the UK that speak British or pure English. So it doesn't mean anything, man. It's really ignorance. There's no such thing as race. Race is a socio-political construct. The Latins or the Spanish use it as a caste system. We use it based on eugenics. But once again, there is no power or flavor if you take away the black man. The music is all throughout the Americas. See, in their culture, they have what's called a subculture called Hispanic. The subcultures in America, the music was hip hop. It was Southern gospel music. We had subcultures within subcultures in America. There is no American flavor without the African. The African influence has more or less influenced a lot of people. But like the song said, everybody want to sing our blues, but no one want to live our blues.
Emotional. Give the
people what they want.
Say it loud.
There's no way I could ever assimilate into whiteness, even though I got 15% Irish.
Even if the color of your skin is black and you say you have a European, how you identify more as a European or as a black American?
As a black person. This very superficial color of skin dictates a lot in this country. But I would imagine the black people that look like me in the Dominican Republic probably make a lower income and have lower access too.
No,
okay, so I have a question for you. Of all of the presidents of the Dominican Republic, have a majority of them look like me with my color?
No, we had one candidate, but
okay. That's all I'm asking. If you look at all of the big companies in the Dominican Republic, are a majority of them, their CEOs look like me?
Not really. We have a bunch of black CEOs.
But do you see how I can make those assumptions?
You're making the color of his skin as an excuse. I used to live in Harlem, so I have a lot of black friends there. And let me tell you something. They will stay home smoking pot. So if you get the opportunity and you get the chance and the government is paying you a loan so you could go to school, why they don't go to school? I mean, you cannot keep feeling as a victim when you have a chance to grow, to become better. Don't tell me the Spanish are going to come from Dominican and go over there, not even speaking English, and they're going to progress. They're going to buy a bodega. And you, American, who speak English and who have all the chances on the world, you can make it.
You ask me, Mexico is deporting Haitians. Are they racist?
Yes, I asked you that.
I'll answer it for you. The answer is yes. Let me prove it to you. Mexico has systemically made the effort to bring in Europeans. They brought in Europeans.
And that's what they do, guys. They let all these damn immigrants come to America. But when it comes down to the Haitian immigrants, which are darker skinned, caste system, because see, remember, there can be an unconscious pathology of racism. They won't let the Haitians come in, and they sometimes won't let some of the black Cubans come. But they bring every other ethnic group except the darker skinned people, when the darker skinned people are the original people. And so black people or those from the African diaspora have internalized that hatred of inferiority to the point that you have some Nigerians that bleach their skin. You have some of the West African countries that wear weave because they've learned to hate themselves. And Greg of Scotland is correct. I think black men, because we don't look at things from a beauty perspective, we look at things from a power perspective, we tend to accept our African roots more so than the women, because women are predicated by beauty.
By the boatloads, because they wanted to whiten Mexico for the same reason why in Dominican Republic Trujillo wiped out how many black people from Dominican Republic? And for that same reason, because these colonized countries in Latin America are trying to whiten the countries.
Soy Afro-Latino y la
He's
gente
right.
se sorprende que hablo español. Wow, tú hablas español muy bien. ¿De dónde eres? Soy dominicano. ¿Y tú dónde eres? Yo soy mexicano. Wow, tú también hablas el español muy bien.
Guys, do me a favor, get the likes up, share the stream, donate to the channel. If you don't have any money, please share the stream. But donate to the channel, guys. We're gonna get deep into it. I got a second part. Donate to the stream, guys, and share the stream, please. And donate to the channel.
Soy afro-latina. No soy bonita para ser negrita. Soy bonita.
Somos afro-latinos. Y sí, somos negros.
I know black.
And the same ones that say, I know black. When they come to America, because, see, it changes when they come to America. Caste system in the Spanish country. But they come to America, that one drop rule, if they look black, then white America going to see them as black people. And they in for a rude awakening when they come to America.
Bueno. Soy afro-latina y no tengo pelo malo. Lo único malo eres tú.
I had a discussion with a Dominican, and a Dominican done the same thing to me. Me no black, me no black. I said, listen, don't worry about what I think of you. The oppressor will tell you who you are. Because when your ass gets to Spain, which they consider your motherland, they're going to tell you who you are. They're going to tell you straight. You ain't Spanish. I'm in Europe, right? Do you know right now how many Dominicans are running away from Spain to London?
Yeah.
With a lot of Dominicans running away from Spain. And I'm asking you, Dominican, yeah. We just come from Spain 2 weeks ago. Why? Oh, Spain, muy racista. Spain, more racista. So you've been handed your Negro card. It took for the oppressor to tell you who you are. Yeah, see. So they've been handed their card.
Y'all hear that music, guys? That's all African. If you take the African influence from Latin America is just as damn dry as raisin salad. The frying of food is African. The cooking of pork is African. The cassava, the yams, all of it is African. The African influence is all over the Dominican Republic. It's all over the Latin countries as well. The African cuisine, most of it is African. But they'll never tell you that. But some of you are walking around with a low self-esteem because you have internalized hatred about yourselves. You come from a rich people, a royal people. Your bloodline is great. There's ethnic issues in all countries. But once again, you are the original humans. And all humans come from the original man, which was black. drums, y'all hear the drum, that's African. Whether you go to Puerto Rico, whether you go to Dominican Republic, whether you go to Brazil, the rhythm is all African. Even with some of the, some are called like voodoo or vaudeville, which I don't believe in, Santeria, the dark arts, is all Africa. It all comes from the motherland. Take away the African once again, and Latin America is dead. It might have something, but it won't have the massive influence of the African influence. That's all West African, guys. That influence, the drums, the beat, the music. When I was in Brazil, you could feel that the drums, man, made you feel alive. It almost made you feel like you were one with the drum. You felt like you were one with the drum. When I was in Brazil, when I heard the beats, boom, 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 you know, it made me feel like I was one. But Austin was right. You don't really see a lot of black dignitaries in some of these Latin countries. But once again, everybody want to benefit from the African influence. That's why, guys, if you take a baby that's born in America, because the rhythm is inside of us. When you play the music, they have even said that sometimes the dances that are mimicked in America look just like African dances, because the spirit of the drum is inside of us. You can take the man from the country, but you can't take the rhythm out of the man. I'm going to say it again. You can take the man out of the country or the continent, but you can't take the rhythm out of the man. That's why when you hear the drums, sometimes the dancers are just like the Africans, because we're the people of the continent, the people of the diaspora, the people of the motherland. Cameroon, Congo, the Bantu people, Sierra Leone. It's in our bloodline. That's why when you hear the drum, it resonates so loudly with you. You know, it raises our frequency because it's in our bloodline. You can't distinguish or separate it.
Yo de por loca, pero de loca, de clase loca. Yo de por loca, hay muchachitas que son me droga. Yo de por loca, yo no te dejé por mala. Yo de por loca.
Dominicans be like, I'm not black. Meanwhile, the picture of their abuelita in the living room.
Do you want to know why most Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, particularly the Afro-Latinos, the black Latinos, don't like to claim blackness or African or Afrocentrism? You want to know why? Because when slavery was going on, the breaking of the slave was so horrendous in the Caribbean, you couldn't imagine. Not to say over in the United States and in the southern plantations, we didn't have our fair share of nightmares. Let's believe we did. But in the Caribbean, it was a totally different beast. We were in the Caribbean in 1555, and we got fucked up out there. Really fucked up out there. They put up something called the caste system, which is racial hierarchy. Did you know that? Spanish people...
That's what I was just talking about a minute ago, guys, the caste system. I've known this for years. And this young man affirms what I already knew. It was based on a caste system, but the inverse racism was based on the one-drop rule here in America.
White Spanish people, then people born in New Spain of Spanish descent, mestizos, basically Spanish and Native American descent, Native American, then African. So don't tell me there's no such thing as a race thing in the Caribbean. There is. There's colorism, there's all of that. There's also some things where they want to perfect the race, basically. Don't date anybody darker, or Africano, or Negro.
Right.
So you be careful of that. So that's taught in the Caribbean.
Now, that is true, but also La Negra, or La Negro, or Negro, Negro just means black. So in some Spanish parts, it's a privilege to be called, if you call a woman la negra, it's actually a compliment. It's not an offense. It just depends on where you go at. But Austin was right. The darker skinned blacks in Brazil, they still get treated harshly. That racialized caste system is still alive and well, sadly.
Also, another factor is because they're also very broken and suffering from self-hatred. What happens is during the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, when a lot of people from the Caribbean were migrating, immigrating to America, what was going on in America at the time? Segregation, Jim Crow. The civil rights movement was just starting to kick off a little bit. So a lot of our Afro-Latino brothers and sisters was witness what African Americans were going through. And you know what? They didn't want no piece of that. So to escape persecution, I'm Hispanic, I'm Dominican, I'm Republican, I'm Puerto Rican.
Right. They wouldn't affirm their African roots because they were classes. It was called class stratification. And so those from the continent have been living there for a while. To the point, guys, if you go to Mexico, you go to the coastal part of Mexico called Guerrero. It's a place called Costa Chica. Costa Chicans are Zambos, mostly Zambos. They're Indians, indigenous Indians, probably Incan or Mayan or Aztec, and African slaves. One of the presidents at one time was an Afro-Latino or a Zambo. Some Mexicans don't even know that black Mexicans exist. Hold tight, let me show you guys real quick. Or Afro-Mexicans. Let me show you some guys. They will be considered Zambos. Hold tight.
Rican. That's how it came to be. That's how it came to be.
I'm gonna go back over the drum real quick, guys. This part is powerful. This resonates with me so much when I see this.
That look like me.
This resonates when I see this, guys. This part resonates.
Who you are. Yeah, see. So they've been handed their card.
All right, guys, let me show you guys this real quick. And shout out to my man Jay Ron Prezis. I'm showing up late, but here to support. Keep bringing the knowledge, Coach. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir, for your kindness. I appreciate it, Jay LaRon Prentice. But let me show you guys something real quick. Look at this. So these are Afro-Mexicans. Fair use, Afro-Mexicans. They're from Guerrero. They're probably Zambos or Morenas or Morenos. They're not mestizos. Mestizos is Spanish and Indian.
This is the Danza de los Diablos, or the Dance of the Devil.
And I've seen some I've actually worked with Afro-Mexican here in North Carolina, man. I work with some Afro-Mexicans.
It's performed on South Mexico's Pacific coast, the region with...
And once again, they will be considered Zambos based on the caste system because they're African and Indian. They will be seen as black in America because of the one drop rule. You see how it goes, guys? Zambos in their country, black in America. They're seen as black in America because of the one drop rule. They're seen as Zambos in their country.
Largest concentration of Afro-Mexicans.
No es de la África la danza.
These dances don't come from Africa. They are Mexican, but these instruments are African and we make them ourselves. Now the black people have united with the local culture and mixed with the local people along this coast, and we multiplied, and there are now many black people here.
This country is home to more than 1 million Afro-Mexicans, yet these are marginalized and often forgotten communities.
You hear what he said? Marginalized and forgotten based on perceived white privilege or perceived white status.
They represent around 1% of the national population. Mexico's 2020 census is the first ever to include Afro-Mexican as an ethnic category.
Right, they are an ethnic group. No such thing as race, but they're from a different ethnicity or ethnic origin.
Mexico's legacy of slavery began hundreds of years ago.
Pero ellos estaban.
The slaves in Mexico were in the places where there was mining. This town was founded.
Now, how many of y'all have seen black folks that look just like this woman? How many of y'all have seen black people that look just like this woman? Thank you, J. Jerome Presence. How many of y'all have seen black people that look just like this woman? Guerrero and Costa Chica. La Paz and Ocoa areas. You're right. Thank you, International Quiet Storm. Yes, sir. Right. You're right. You're right. I agree 100%. Right. You're right, Lavelle. They do know they hate him. You're right. It's sad. But in God's kingdom, God don't see race. There's no such thing as race. God sees us all as one. White people are not better than black people. Indians are not better than black people. We're all equal. Black, Indians, and whites. We're all from one bloodline. And that bloodline was the original man, which is black. All humans come from darker skinned people. So, you should never feel shame based on the whitening of culture.
Around the year 1800, most likely by fugitive slaves who escaped to the coastal regions where they could survive on what they found here.
Forma de sobrevivir.
Today, that original African culture still exists in the states dominated by indigenous traditions.
You see, the African culture still exists. Remember, guys, you can take the man out of the country, but you can't take the rhythm out of the man. You see it with the box on our head. The African DNA, the African rhythm is so strong and powerful that it still vibrates in our subconscious.
Yet this stretch of coastline between Oaxaca and Guerrero states
Guerrero, Oaxaca,
part of the country. There's not much tourism here, and local industry doesn't extend far beyond fishing and agriculture. Yet few black Mexicans leave to seek better opportunities, and those who do find the wider country not very welcoming.
Listen to what they said. When they do leave, guys, the white Spaniards are racist towards them. The white Spaniards are racist towards those that leave. Even when they leave, the white Spaniards don't show them love. Because once again, it's the perceived power of being better, and they're not.
Indeed, for Rosa Hernandez, the lead councillor of Santo Domingo Armenta, the Afro-Mexican experience is isolating.
We're a vast minority in this country.
Now look at this beautiful sister, this beautiful woman, this Afro-Latina woman. Her name is Rosa Hernandez. Remember, her ethnic bloodline is Zambo, but she has a Spanish surname, Rosa Hernandez. So they treat the darker Mexicans worse than the whiter ones, or the Indians.
Country, so that's why many people have never heard of us. They think we're from another country. They don't consider you to be Mexican simply because you're black. But we are Mexican.
You see that? You see that, guys? It's the same. Listen to what they just said. It's the same internalized racism that we went through as black people or Africans in America. They never saw us as American. That's why when we look at other folks, we say black, and they look at us like we're crazy. There was no sense of nationalized pride for Americans of the African diaspora. The Native Americans and the Europeans from Britain and other parts, they were seen as Americans, but we were never seen as Americans. They never saw us as Americans. Even though we fought in all the wars, we blood, sweat, and tears and died for this country, we were never seen as Americans. So that's why they say black. these Mexicans were never seen as American because of their African because of their skin color.
And it's only fair that they recognize us, that they value us as much as anyone else.
As the Black Lives Matter movement around the world seeks change and equality for Black Mexico, the challenge for these communities is still at the point of showing they exist. Alistair Baverstock for CGTN, Coajinicuilapa, Mexico.
And do y'all see the disrespect and the shame that's always associated? But once again, they want to sing your blues, but no one wants to live it.
In the middle of the night, I'm not doing that.
I'm auto, yeah. Baby, you my only number one, got it. Even in my down times, I can't get you out of my mind, sorry. Hey, I didn't run it.
And a results as a Dominican.
Just to find you in my way. Nothing like you in this world. Promise never let it go. Baby,
I'm gonna show you guys this other part. And this woman breaks it down to a science. Hold tight. Let me show you guys this part. She breaks it down to a science. And this goes back to what we were talking about the caste system, guys. So she breaks it down to a science, and why some. Basically, she's reflecting the same thing that I said.
Dominicans are black. Every time I see a video like this, I just feel like I have to stitch it and say something, because me tienen harta esta gente. I am sick and tired of y'all. And first of all, I just want to start off by saying no hate towards that girl that did the video. I just want to say a couple things. So for those of you who mock us Dominicans for saying that, I understand that some of you don't know the history of the Dominican Republic and the history of the whole Latin America. In the United States, racial identity.
Once again, colonialization based on one drop, colonialization based on caste system. She's more or less said the same things I've said, but hold tight.
Has been influenced by the one drop rule, as most of you know, which means every black person identifies themselves as black. Something like that. There's more into it, but it's basically the one drop rule is basically if you're black, like, you know, light skin or have black features, you just identify as black. And then we go to Latin America, where Latin America was colonized by the Spanish. I forgot to mention that in the United States, they were colonized by the English. And in Latin America, we were colonized by the Spanish. The Spanish, they did not believe in the one drop rule at all. They didn't. The Spanish mostly believed in mejorar la raza, like they could fix other races. Basically by telling them they should marry a white person so their descendants could be white. And so that made a whole caste system, dividing people based on racial criteria. I don't know if I said that word right, but and also colorism, like it created a whole colorism system, like it's so bad. And so because of the hundreds of years of colonization in Latin America, it has left us with the view of race that we have today. And now let me get to Dominican history. The Dominican Republic used to have this dictator named Trujillo, Rafael Trujillo, who basically wanted to whitewash the country. Like, his main goal was to whitewash the whole entire island. He was a dictator throughout the 30s, 40s, and 50s, around there. I'll leave up his name up there so you guys can search him up and read about him on Wikipedia. So you guys can learn about, read and learn about the things he wanted to do to the Dominican Republic. Just in case you guys think that, oh, you're just saying that as an excuse. You guys always try to find an excuse, blah, blah, blah. So back to what I was saying. So basically, yeah, he wanted to whitewash the country. He made people believe that having straight hair, having white features was the way, was the most elegant, was the most beautiful thing ever. He did not allow the schools to teach the kids about their African roots, nor their indigenous roots.
No different than what they do in America.
Only their European roots. Like, you only learned in history class about Christopher Columbus, of how he was a hero, he discovered America, blah, blah, blah type shit. Trujillo even killed hundreds and hundreds of Haitians that were in the Dominican Republic. And I believe he got to kill Black Dominicans as well, because, like I said, he wanted to completely whitewash the country. And so then, even though Trujillo was killed, he got killed around the 60s, around there, people still stayed with the mindset Trujillo had. And, you know, the Black Dominicans, they wanted to fit in. So they permed their hair. They wanted to have white features so badly. The schools, and even till this day.
Yeah, you're right, Red Sigma. There was a lot of colonialization in Florida. Florida has a lot of colonialization by Spaniards. Louisiana. I will also say in parts of Texas with the Alamo. Also in California. But also Louisiana has the most diversity because it has French, Spanish, Indian, African. Louisiana is like a hodgepodge of many. But you're right, Spain did have an influence in the Americas as well. But normally when I think Northeast America. It's mostly British and Irish, Scottish, and those countries for the most part. But you're correct.
Schools don't let kids go with their afro nor with braids to the school. And sadly, because of Trujillo, the Black Dominicans just stayed believing that having black features and just being black is the most ugliest thing in the world.
Right.
And
internalized hatred. You see it in some of the African countries. Hating their features, hating their noses, hating their skin color. And as Gregory said, you tend to see it more in the women because women adhere to a beauty standard than you do the men. But they'll get mad when black men just have a preference for certain exotic features. When you get an Indian and an African, they look exotic. It doesn't mean they don't like the African women. They just, you like what you like.
That's basically the reason why the older generation of Dominicans is the way they are. I don't know if the school system in the Dominican Republic has changed. I hope they did. But I think they have, I know some schools, and I've heard some kids speak about some schools that in the Dominican Republic that are really racist, etc. But I'm pretty sure the school system in the Dominican Republic has changed because my generation.
I'm not using the word race. I would say ethnic. I would call it ethnic cleansing. The cleansing of different ethnicities.
Our generation now, they're not really like the older generation.
Right. The older generation was more into the self-hatred and not affirming their African roots. But the newer Dominicans, like Edwin, the brother that I met, the newer generations are coming out of that.
It was basically like colonization all over again, but by a Dominican. And years went by, until this day, it's still almost basically the same. And it's really not our fault. Well, it's really not their fault because I'm not like them. And a lot of Dominicans aren't like them. And one more thing, I said this before in a video I've made, but basically some Dominicans, and I know this is stupid, basically some Dominicans, they say, no, I'm not black, I'm Dominican, because they do not want to be confused with African American. Because as you know, the people
right.
who mostly in the...
Right, they didn't consider us as Americans. They say black. We should be seen as Americans of African roots. But they'll say black. They just say black, which is really weird because black really doesn't have an identity.
The United States. I'm talking about the United States. The people who mostly identify themselves as black are the African Americans. the people who are known to be black in the United States are the African Americans. So Dominicans, they do not want to be confused with African Americans. And I know it sounds stupid because instead they should say, yeah, I'm black, but I'm a black Dominican. But, you know, it's basically because the black people are African Americans in the United States, and we do not want to be confused with an African American. Not that it's a bad thing and not an offensive way. I know some Dominicans do say it in an offensive way, but it's just reality. Like, you think of black in the United States, you automatically think of an African American. And it's basically the same thing with a white Dominican and a white Latino, like Latinos in general, like a white Latino in general. In the United States, they will say, no, I'm not white. I'm from my country, the country that they're from. Oh, I'm from Argentina, or I'm Colombian. I'm not white. You know, it's basically the same thing because of, like I mentioned in the beginning, the colonization that we had. The Spanish colonization, mejorar la raza type shit, you know. Because white Latinos and Latinos in general think a white person is a Caucasian from the United States. You know, blue eyes, blonde, white hair, white as hell, pale as hell, you know, like the colonizers. But this whole joke of I know black, I'm Dominican, it's getting annoying, it's stupid, it's just dumb because they don't know the reason why some Dominicans react the way they react when someone calls them black, and some mean it in a rude way and some don't mean it in a rude way. Like it's just...
Right. She's correct. I'll say that some do affirm their African roots, but they say I'm Dominican, which they are. We should have been seen as American first. So they said me not black, and they're correct. I'm Dominican. But some will say, yeah, I have African roots. But some won't say they have African roots. It just depends on how you ask the question.
So annoying. Like, just stop it with that joke. Just drop it. Because in Latin America, there was a whole different type of colonization, different history, same ancestors, but different history. It's just stop it. About the white Latinos like us, that we say we don't want to be confused with African Americans. White Latinos do not want to be confused with a gringo, with the white, with like we say, like us Latinos say, they don't want to get confused with a gringo from the United States. They don't want to be confused by a white person from the United States. I don't know if I said this. This video is so long that I forgot.
So she said they don't want to be confused as white either. But she's not. This woman is either mulatto or she's Zombo. She looks more Zombo to me, meaning she got African and Indian ancestry, and she affirms it. She says she has African roots. Watch this.
That I've forgotten what I've said, but basically just drop it because it's not really Dominicans' fault. It's not really Latin American people's fault. Like, we were colonized. The way we were colonized was horrible. Just like you guys, but in a different way. It's not our fault. It's not their fault. I'm not saying we because I'm not like that. I acknowledge my black features.
You heard what she said? She acknowledged her black features.
You know, I acknowledge my African roots. I'm not like those who don't. But just, it's not their fault, okay? So just stop it. Like, the way the system here is in here in Dominican Republic, I'm currently in DR right now, and in Latin America, it's so different. So just please chill out with the joke. It's annoying. And so for those people who make videos mocking us, criticizing us, blah blah blah, you're just wasting your time, because Dominicans believe in what they believe in. Those Dominicans that say I'm not black, I'm Dominican, believe in what they believe in. It's no use. Just stop it. You're just wasting your time. You are not gonna change their mind.
Right. And you know, it's all how you're acculturate.
Emotional.
Give the people what they want.
Say it loud.
All right, guys. guys, this is it. This is it. Thank y'all to the 21 that are watching. I really appreciate it, guys. We're gonna end this stream. I'm about to get me some sunlight. I'm going to enjoy the Tar Heel State. I'm about to head up the street, get me some walk, get me some sun to beat on this chocolate skin of mine. You know, feel the power of the sun. I love the sun, man. I love feeling that sun giving me power. So I'm about to go get me some sunlight. I'm about to go hit the town. I'm about to go walk, get my walk in, look at some NBA basketball. But before we do it, guys, a special shout out to Salty Balls, as he was one of the #1 sponsors, followed by Gregory Scotland, followed by the International Quiet Storm, followed by the International Quiet Storm again, followed by J. LaRon Presence. And so the final #1 sponsor was the International Quiet Storm. Once again, guys, love yourself. Shout out to the other brothers and sisters, white or black, that were watching, white or whatever ethnicity. This show is not to talk about racial superiority. That's not the purpose. But it is vital and necessary to affirm the African identity, what it means, and that you should never be afraid or ashamed of what God made you. We're about to end this stream, guys. Thank y'all once again for tuning in on to this evening. And shout out to my man Top Gun for popping in. Thank you, Top Gun, man. You missed a good one. Go back and catch the replay, Top Gun. A great show. Shout out to Top Gun. And you know, Top Gun always showing love. So I might have to hit Top Gun with that Kosher 7 beat, because Top Gun always keeping it kosher. Big Bass, drop that beat for Top Gun.
I am the one that take two just to make it.
Because he's always keeping it kosher. I appreciate it.
I'm the best to survive in the matrix. 6 of you out, rest in peace to your baby. I am the one that take two just to make it. 3 of you hating for your replacement. 5, I'm the best to survive in the matrix. 6 of you out, rest in peace to your baby. 7, if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7, if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7, if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7, if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7, 7, 7, 7. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7, 7, 7, 7.
All right, guys, we're about to end this stream. Once again, thank you to Top Gun showing love, guys. If you're not a member, go join the membership. Help the channel grow, guys. The algorithm is changing crazy. And guys, go join the membership. And thank you to everyone that came in and donated on tonight or this afternoon. Go join the membership if you're not a member. But listen, I appreciate that, Quiet Storm. I'm honored that you said that, man, because doing these shows are not easy. It's not easy doing these shows, man. And I am a licensed therapist, and this is edutainment for me, using clinical concepts from an ethnocentric perspective. And so, man, I'm honored that you said that, man. I really appreciate that, brother. Thank you, the Quiet Storm. You and I have talked in the back, and I got nothing but love and respect for you. You, Gregory Scotland, Salty Balls, and channel of the Kosher Clinician. There are 4 levels to this channel. There is Kosher Novice, Kosher Apprentice, Kosher Master, and the highest honors is Kosher King. You guys know I am the Kosher Clinician, and everything I do or strive to do is fit and proper. But many times we know that YouTube is a very competitive business. Some get it from the mud like me. Some actually steal talking points, or more or less parrot talking points without consent or giving credence to the person that did the actual work. And because of that, I'm going to start making most of my content membership only to the great guys like Gregory Scotland, The Quiet Storm, my man Saul, and many others that always donate to the channel. Feel free to click on the link to the membership button. It'll give you all the explicit instructions that you need. And continue to enjoy content like this that's listed to the top as we continue to strive to empower men from all ages and all ages. You know and I know that creating content takes a lot of time. And in order for me to ensure that my time is merited, to ensure that you guys are getting the best content to those, especially those that donate and show love on a regular basis. I've taken upon myself to take my craft seriously, or very serious, and to more or less ensure that you, the faithful listeners, men and women, but mostly men, are getting the best content possible so that you can not only get your needs met, but also so that I can ensure that I get the proper revenue, as these streams take a lot of time and they take a lot of work. And I need you guys to understand this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become optimized, and understanding why becoming a member of this prestigious channel is paramount as we seek for resolve in times when male-centered content is not only under attack, but so is masculinity. Be well.
Fire! For your mind. Kosher clinician. Faith is before you. Choose wisely.
All right, guys, we're going to end it here. Thank you once again to everyone that donated. And, guys, we're going to end it here, guys. I'm going to look at some basketball. About to go out here and walk and get some sunshine. Thank you once again, guys.
Instead, struggle like flow and James Evans. Damn.
The time has come. 12 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock in the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. We had a very powerful show talking about race, ethnicities, and the ignorance associated with. This has been a great show, guys. Thank you to all that watched on this Sunday afternoon. Once again, 12 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock, bringing it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. Don't ever be ashamed to be what God made you. Love yourself, embrace yourself. Let's break the chains of ignorance and let's come together as one. Be well. Give the people what they want.
Say it loud.